In a bustling city, a gigantic man spotted a small, bewildered boy named Lee Sungmin. Sungmin's confusion caught the man's attention. The man, sensing Sungmin's bewilderment, approached and signaled him to stay calm and listen. Sungmin, feeling like he might be in a dream, took a moment to check if this was real. He learned that this place was called Area, a world filled with all sorts of demons and monsters, where everything fought fiercely to survive. This world, the man explained, summons folks from different places like you and me. They were in the City of Beginnings, where the first batch of otherworlders had been brought. The man inquired if Sungmin had any knowledge of martial arts or magic. Sungmin replied with a simple no. The man assumed Sungmin had no class, which left Sungmin puzzled. With patience, the man clarified that class was just a term and promised to explain it slowly. He then invited Sungmin to follow him, insisting they couldn't leave him on his own. As they strolled through a hidden alley, the man asked, "Are you thirsty after being summoned?" Sungmin admitted that he was quite parched, so the man handed him a bottle of water. Sungmin thanked the man wholeheartedly, but, to everyone's surprise, sprayed the man in the face as he took a sip. The liquid in the bottle stung the man's eyes, transforming Sungmin's timid demeanor. He confessed that he'd been pretending to be a clueless novice and revealed the truth. He knew the liquid was goblin paralytic poison due to its subtle, fishy smell. While Sungmin may have acted the part of a beginner, he wasn't as naive as he seemed. The man's earlier assumptions were correct. Sungmin had just been summoned and had no class. However, he had a remarkable 13 years of experience. With incredible agility, Sungmin delivered a swift knee kick to the man's groin despite the immense size difference between them. He snatched a knife from the man's vest and used it to devastating effect, slashing the man's throat. In the final moments, Sungmin reminded the man of a crucial rule in Area: don't trust others easily. After this confrontation, Sungmin had amassed 100,000 ER and a single dagger, not a fortune, but certainly better than nothing. Reflecting on his own body, Sungmin noticed an absence of scars or muscles, leading him to a remarkable conclusion. He had been transported back 13 years to the time when he was first summoned to Area. Back then, Sungmin was a 27-year-old C-rank mercenary struggling to make ends meet in Area's lower-class society. Lee Sungmin had always felt like he was stuck in a rut. No talent, no special background. It was like he was destined to stay at the bottom. He tried so hard, but nothing seemed to work. Then one day he stumbled upon something that changed everything: an undiscovered dungeon. It took a lot of effort, but he managed to find a single treasure chest. He opened it, hoping for something incredible, but all he found was a tiny rock. It was puzzling, so he kept it with him, even though he didn't know what it was for. But that rock turned out to be his ticket out of his miserable life. It had the power to take him back in time, a stone of regression. Sungmin checked his stats, hoping for a miracle, but they were the same as when he was first summoned 13 years ago. At first he felt disappointed, but then he realized he had something even more valuable: 13 years of memories. With those memories he could do things he couldn't before. In Area, a world filled with otherworldly beings being no class was common. It was a blank slate, a chance to learn anything with a special growth bonus. But it also meant you were at the bottom, struggling to survive. Sungmin had lived as a C-rank mercenary, enduring hardships and humiliation, but in the end he died without achieving much. So he made a promise to himself. He'd do whatever it took to become stronger. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What job would you take in a fantasy world? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now back to the recap. His journey led him to the Healthy Bone Realignment Office, where he asked for a skeleton remodeling procedure. This procedure gave him a low-rank martial skeleton and a true heaven cultivation technique. It was a rare opportunity, one he couldn't have gotten 13 years ago. The martial skeleton allowed him to learn martial arts easily. To get this chance, you had to be no class and have no skills learned. The man performing the procedure offered to do it for free in exchange for some advertising. In his past life, the doctor who did the procedure had died, so few people had this opportunity. Now, with the martial skeleton and the no-class growth bonus, Sungmin knew he could become stronger faster than ever before. The True Heaven Cultivation Technique is a special method for gathering inner strength. It's like the starting point for all energy cultivation. These techniques come in different types. Some are better at making your energy stable, while others make it stronger faster. The one Sungmin learned in his past life was just ordinary, not the best. But then, he found something incredible in an old library in Xenovis, a first-rate technique hidden away. The library owner didn't know its value, so Sungmin got it for almost nothing. Now he's aiming for the final opportunity, a big prize in the Colosseum next year. It's not too tough to get in, but he has to stay here in Xenovis to get stronger. Right now, he needs cash for a place to stay, like 30,000 ER every day. So he's thinking about hunting monsters to make money. He spots a guy selling armor and sees a chest vest he likes. The seller says it might fit him, and Sungmin tries to buy it along with a spear and 2 daggers. But the seller's like, "Do you even have enough money, kid?" Sungmin shows him he's got 60,000 ER. The seller bursts into laughter, saying it'll take at least 300,000 ER for all that. Sungmin asks if he can put it on credit, but the guy says no way. So Sungmin offers to sell his clothes and asks how much he'd get for them. The guy's not convinced, even though Sungmin's trying his best. He chuckles at how Sungmin looked all innocent before but now seems desperate. Finally the guy agrees. He tells Sungmin to take what he wants and he'll cover the rest as credit. He likes Sungmin's determination and thinks he'll be a regular. "Just make sure to pay back the 250,000 ER soon," he says. Sungmin thanks the man, feeling a bit puzzled by his attitude. Having armor is vital for surviving, even if it's light armor. It was a good call to buy it, even if it meant a struggle. Acts of kindness like this weren't common in area. Sungmin wonders if the guy might have some ulterior motive. Now, he's out in the hunting grounds, remembering when he first came here 13 years ago, feeling utterly pathetic. But now, he's better prepared and can take down monsters with ease. He's got his spear, and it's a one-shot, one-kill technique. It's tricky, and it burns if you're not used to it. So he decides to toughen up his hands. As he goes about his training in a dark and eerie room somewhere, a mysterious person with long green hair and a black robe meditates, surrounded by red mist. Blue particles begin to appear, which catch the person by surprise, and he is greeted and welcomed by Jack Ajusi, a worker at the shop. He hands over the accommodation fee to Jack. Jack then asks him where he bought the dimensional pouch from, since an item like that would cost close to $1 million. Sungmin says that he got it cheaply from the merchant he deals with frequently. He hands over goblin teeth and body fluids to Jack, and for the amount he has given him, Jack will let him stay in the inn for 2 days. Jack then compliments Sungmin, telling him that when he first came up to him, he suggested using monster byproducts to pay for accommodation. He also looked like he was about to die soon. It has been 2 weeks since Sungmin has stayed in Jack's inn, and he has hunted down monsters every day since then. Jack wonders if this is what being talented feels like. Jack is starting to annoy Sungmin, so he just walks away while Jack continues blabbering. Sungmin is still upset about Jack's comment about him being talented. He thinks that it's a word that doesn't suit him because he was so untalented back then. After he suffered a lot, he ended his previous life as a C-class mercenary. Sungmin is able to learn martial arts by remembering how they worked in his previous life, but the techniques he has relearned are just second-rate martial arts. No matter how hard he learns the second-rate martial arts, he can't climb his way up. The only hope he has is the first-rate cultivation technique, the pure heavenly cultivation technique. He uses the technique in order to get strong in martial arts. The next day comes and a girl in the inn asks Sungmin if he is going to the forest again. She then asks him why he is always hunting in the woods since he is putting his life at risk by being there. This girl is the daughter of Jack and Lula. Sungmin then responds to her saying that it is because he is an otherworlder, so if he wants to survive he has to catch monsters to make money. She then scolds him, calling him a fool, and explains to him that there are other jobs that he could do. She then recommends to him a job working at their inn, since her dad has already grown a liking for him. He refuses this offer, saying that he doesn't know how to cook or clean. Lula can't seem to understand Sungmin. He leaves and tells Lula that he will be back by dinner. In his past life, he lived while compromising with others. He could do that again, but he doesn't want to live like that. This time he will try to obtain the things he has envied, and he will do anything it takes to live a better life than his previous one. The noon bell strikes, which means another otherworlder will be summoned. A portal appears near a fountain, and a young person with red eyes wearing a robe comes out. Sungmin wonders if this person knows martial arts and if they are the same age as him. The person gets approached by a bunch of thugs and gets offered a bottle of water, just like Sungmin when he was first summoned. Sungmin turns away, but he bumps into a tall, bulky man. The man punches Sungmin in the face and throws him to the ground. The citizens around them begin to get concerned about the commotion they are causing. People start whispering, wondering what's happening. The bulky man, whose name turns out to be Hyung Nim, steps forward and tries to explain the situation. He tells them that Sungmin broke his nose and that he's teaching him a lesson. But the citizens, they just shake their heads and go back to their own business. In Xenovis, folks tend to mind their own affairs. They don't want to get mixed up in other people's troubles. As Hyung Nim continues talking, Sungmin watches him closely. He remembers Hyung Nim from earlier, when he was with those other thugs. Sungmin can tell that Hyung Nim is no ordinary street brawler. The way he handled himself earlier, it's clear he's got some martial arts skills. Sungmin knows a bit about martial arts. There are different levels, and you can spot a martial artist level by how good they are. Third-rate martial artists are the lowest level, and you can get there pretty quickly with just a bit of training. But Sungmin, well, he's not even at that level yet. He knows he can't win this fight on his own. And the people here, they're not about to jump in and help him. Xenovis can be a cold place. Sungmin leans over to the other worlder who appeared earlier and warns him in a hushed tone. He says that the bottle those thugs gave him has some kind of paralytic poison in it. The young man's eyes widen in alarm, and he quickly spills out the contents of the bottle. The thug from before, the one with the busted nose, he's had enough of waiting. He strides over to Sungmin, threatening and ready to throw a knee kick. But Sungmin's been in scrapes like this before. He dodges the attack with a quick move and counters by striking the thug in the ribs with his elbow and then his palms. But here's the thing, Sungmin's just a kid, and against a fully grown thug, his blows don't seem to do much. Size and strength matter in a fight. The other thugs start warning everyone to keep quiet or the guards will come, and that's the last thing anyone wants. The thug who's been after Sungmin raises his fist, looking to finish this. Sungmin knows he can't win this fight with just his bare hands. He reaches for his spear in his pouch, but before he can even get a grip on it, the young man who appeared out of nowhere earlier steps into the midst of the scuffle. He asks Sungmin to repeat what he said earlier, and for a moment Sungmin is distracted by this unexpected intervention. But the thug's fist is still coming, fast and mean. Then, out of nowhere, the young man offers his help. He moves so fast it's like he's a blur, and he effortlessly blasts the thug away. The thug goes flying and crashes into the other thugs who had just been beaten down. Sungmin's eyes widen in shock. He's never seen anyone move like that. The palm attack the young man used, it's not just about strength, it's something more. Sungmin realizes that this guy is no ordinary fighter. He's a peak martial master, and that's a whole different level. Sungmin starts piecing things together. He is around his age, a peak martial master, and was summoned around the same time as him. He wonders if this boy is the little heavenly demon, Ouiji Hoyeon. The demonic cult is the representative of the unorthodox sects. They worship power itself. The strongest in the cult would become the head of the demonic cult, and would be called the heavenly demon. His child is referred to as the young leader, an otherworlder who was the young leader. He is the little heavenly demon, Ouiji Hoyeon. From an early age he was able to use peak-level martial arts. He came to Area as an otherworlder, and made a name for himself all over Area. He was about the same age as Sungmin, but there was a huge power gap between them. Hoyeon is in Sungmin's room, and they introduce themselves to each other. Sungmin explains to Hoyeon about the world that they are in, saying that it is different from the world they were previously in. Hoyeon then asks if there is no demonic cult in their world. Sungmin says that there are no demonic cults in their world, and Hoyeon starts giggling. Hoyeon then recalls the time they were being confronted by thugs earlier at the plaza, and asks Sungmin what he was shouting at him. Sungmin tells him that he was trying to stop him from drinking the water because it had paralytic poison in it. Hoyeon starts laughing, but he calls Sungmin arrogant for speaking informally to him. Sungmin immediately apologizes to him. Hoyeon then points out how Sungmin was using martial arts earlier and starts insulting his skills, calling them trash and lousy. He asks him where he learned such lousy martial arts. Sungmin starts getting offended by these condescending comments and asks what Hoyeon's intentions are. Hoyeon responds, saying that he will teach him martial arts. This shocks Sungmin. Hoyeon promises him that if he teaches him, he will most definitely improve, but he has conditions, which are that Sungmin must become his friend. Sungmin is utterly shocked and confused by this condition. In a flashback, we see a younger Hoyeon telling his father, the demon cult leader, heavenly demon Ouiji Hak, that he wants a friend. He tells his father that he learned about friends in a book he read, and that he learned that having a friend can overcome all hardships. His father then scolds him, telling him that that is not true for Hoyeon, since he will succeed the throne and rule over the myriad demons, so there is no need for him to have friends. Hoyeon walks off, saddened by his father's scolding. Hak then comments about his son's combative skills. During the training, his son was able to beat fat people despite being a 10-year-old. Being the heir to the demon cult, he grew up with a lot of expectations. He began training when he was young, so he did not have the time to make friends. There was no logical reasoning behind this. Sungmin then accepts Hoyeon's offer and becomes his friend, but he is a bit taken aback that he, a 27-year-old man on the inside, is friends with a 13-year-old. Hoyeon begins teaching Sungmin the violet mystic art. It is a technique from the unorthodox sect that has a unique characteristic. Sungmin then questions why he is being taught Violet Dawn mystic art, when he thought he would be taught demon cult martial arts. Hoyeon then questioned why he used formal language when talking to him. He told him to use informal language since they were friends. Hoyeon began to explain that the heavenly demonic mystic art he practiced was reserved for the leader and the heir, so he couldn't teach him that. But he assured Sungmin that he wouldn't regret learning the Violet Dawn mystic art, as it was a powerful technique. A month had passed since Hoyeon started teaching Sungmin the Violet Dawn mystic art. Sungmin's martial skills had improved significantly, reaching between the third and second class. While it was a significant development compared to his past life, he couldn't forget Hoyeon's sarcastic comments about his abilities. One day, in the forest, Sungmin was ambushed by a large orc. He managed to dodge the attack just in time, though it caught him by surprise. With his spear, Sungmin swiftly defeated the orc with a single, precise strike to the chest. Afterward, he examined the orc, wondering why it was so far from its usual habitat. A man suddenly appeared behind him, introducing himself as Woon Hye-young, the Orchid Destruction Sword. Sungmin, cautious, inquired about his intentions. Woon explained that he was there because of a problem related to the orc. Woon led Sungmin to meet Do Sangryang, a small monkey. Do expressed doubt about Sungmin, considering him too young for the task. However, Woon reassured him, citing Sungmin's impressive combat skills. The other members of their group introduced themselves to Sungmin. Wang Pei was known as the Black Rain Dagger, and Rainier hailed from the school of Velas. Woon then provided Sungmin with information about recent events in the area. An orc faction had established a new village and had been attacking nearby settlements and killing novice adventurers. The mercenary guild had placed a reward of 20 million ER for eradicating the orc village, with potential loot bringing the total profit to around 35 million ER. Dividing it by the 5 people in their group, each member will get around 7 million ER. Sungmin wonders if he should go along with this plan. It's a rare chance, but he doesn't know if he can trust these strangers. After a moment's thought, Sungmin nods in agreement. Woon, his face lighting up, welcomes Sungmin to the team, but there's something Sungmin's curious about. Those 2 gloomy guys huddled in the corner. Sungmin gestures to them and asks Woon about their role. Woon chuckles. Oh, they're just the pack mules. They lug around our stuff and get paid with whatever's left. As the group travels towards their orc hunting mission, Sungmin's curiosity bubbles up again. How many orcs we dealing with? He asks Do, who's been quiet till now. Do scratches his head. Around 50, but we'll likely only face 30. Orcs ain't too clever. We just need to rush 'em. Woon chimes in, explaining their plan. They'll split into 2 teams, with Woon and Sungmin in one, the rest in the other. The strategy is simple. Lure the orcs out, divide and conquer. Rainier, with her magic, will help by spreading their scent. Do's team will be an ambush, while Sungmin and Woon will light a flare to draw out the rest of the orcs. Sungmin, though, thinks it's a bit rough around the edges. Maybe we could set a trap, he suggests, but then realizes it's not practical given their numbers. As they approach the orc territory, they split up. They've been trekking for nearly half a day, and Sungmin starts feeling bad for the mule carrying their gear. He turns to the mule and asks, "What's your name?" The mule surprisingly responds, "I'm Brass." Sungmin, worried about Brass's safety, offers him an out. "You can run if you want when the orcs come charging," he says. Brass, though, stands his ground. "I can't run," he mutters. Sungmin nods and reminds Brass to take care of himself. They finally reach their destination, a wooden fence amidst the trees. Before Woon ignites the flare, Sungmin pulls out a massive jar of water from his magical pocket. Woon's puzzled. "What's that for?" he asks. Sungmin grins. "Mud. We'll rub it on ourselves to mask our scent." As Woon triggers the flare, the orcs take notice. Woon then comes up with an idea. "Let's send Brass out first. It might distract them better." Brass is really surprised by this plan. He tells Woon that he could get seriously hurt or even die, but Woon doesn't seem to care. He says confidently that he won't die. Then he gets a bit scary. He threatens Brass, saying if he doesn't come with them, he'll do something bad to him. But just as quickly, he says he's only kidding. Sungmin, who's been quiet until now, speaks up. He says he'll go first. There are about 13 big orcs that they've lured out, and Sungmin decides to take them on. As he charges in, he wonders why he volunteered. He and Brass aren't friends or anything, but they're both kinda at the bottom of the social ladder. They both follow the rule that the strong are in charge. Sungmin remembers his training with Hoyeon, how to hold a spear and stab from a distance. He uses this special spear technique he learned, the soul-chasing spear, in its 3rd form. It's awesome. He takes out a bunch of orcs in one go. Woon jumps in to help with the rest. An orc suddenly attacks Brass, but Sungmin saves him just in time. They start cutting off the orc's ears, which is kinda gross but necessary for their mission. Woon thanks Sungmin for the help, throwing a bag of orc ears to Brass, telling him to make sure they don't miss any. They start walking back to meet up with the others, and Brass thanks Sungmin. Sungmin's group catches up with the other group. They're like, "We finished everything already, no big deal." Do asks if they had any trouble, but Woon assures him that they handled it quickly thanks to Sungmin. But then, out of nowhere, Wang throws a dagger into Rainier's chest, and she dies. Woon moves to attack Do, but Sungmin stops him just in time. In a strange flashback, Sungmin remembers a past life where he was working for a group. They see a big crowd gathered around an execution. They check it out and realize it's a mercenary from the Murim being executed. This guy had gone on a mission, killed all his friends to keep all the money for himself, and got caught. Back to the present, Sungmin and Woon are in a serious fight. Sungmin finally figures out who Woon really is. He's the guy who got executed for killing his own allies in a past life. Woon might not be top-notch, but he's tough. However, Sungmin can still predict his moves. He nicks Woon's chest and Woon steps back, thinking he escaped a deadly blow, but then he starts coughing up blood. The spear was poisoned. Woon, feeling weak, decided to change how he was going about things. He didn't want to hurt Brass, but he had to make Sungmin stop. Sungmin had been a soldier for a long time, but the only reason he was helping Brass was that they were both pretty much the same, low-class folks. Brass didn't back down. He used his weight to slam Woon to the ground. Woon had no choice, he had to stab Brass to stop him, but Sungmin didn't hesitate to repay the favour, and Woon fell too. While all this was happening, Do managed to take down Wang. Woon and Wang had brought them all to the mercenary guild, and now Do and Sungmin had to split the 35 million ER reward and the loot they had gathered. Sungmin finally made it back to the inn, worn out from the day's fighting. He flopped onto his bed, wishing he had just a bit more energy. Hoyeon was there to greet him. He wanted to know if Sungmin had killed someone. Sungmin was surprised, asked him how he knew. Hoyeon said it was the smell of blood. He explained it was a second-rate fighter who had tried to take him out, so Sungmin had to do it instead. But Hoyeon sensed something more, something Sungmin was hiding, and he pressed him on it. Sungmin was puzzled. He asked Hoyeon why he was so curious about what he might be hiding. He questioned if it was unusual for someone like him, with no grand achievements, to beat a second-rate fighter. Hoyeon clarified that wasn't what he meant. He thought Sungmin was special. Hoyeon had been wandering this city, seeing how most people with no class lived wretched lives. But on the very first day Sungmin was summoned, he went straight into the forest and faced monsters. Sungmin wondered if that was really so strange, given that survival would be tough without it. Hoyeon explained that logically it made sense, but other folks from different classes weren't doing it because they didn't know better. He pointed out that despite being just 14, Sungmin had risked his life and taken another's. Sungmin shrugged it off, saying he adapted quickly. Hoyeon wasn't convinced and told Sungmin his second suspicion. He believed Sungmin had no talent because when he taught him a 10, Sungmin could only grasp about 3 or 4. Another strange thing that he points out is that Sungmin has only used a spear for less than 2 months, but his skills are already quite good. To learn martial arts this fast in just 2 months, it makes Hoyeon wonder who Sungmin really is. Sungmin gets up and tells him that he doesn't know what he's talking about, but Hoyeon fires back, saying he doesn't like people who lie to him. Sungmin argues that everyone has secrets they want to keep hidden, and the person trying to uncover them is the real bad guy. He asks Hoyeon if that's what a friend means to him. Hoyeon, not giving up, offers to share his secret in exchange for Sungmin's. Sungmin, initially refusing, eventually gives in, offering his secret along with a remarkable martial arts technique. Hoyeon, growing desperate, asks what Sungmin wants in return, but Sungmin remains steadfast. Then, Hoyeon makes another offer, proposing to give Sungmin 20% of his internal energy. Sungmin, shocked, asks why Hoyeon would make such an offer. Hoyeon replies that he's curious, and Sungmin is his one and only friend. That's why he wants to know everything about his friend, even the secrets, because that's what a friend means to him. Sungmin agrees, but he has one condition. Hoyeon must promise not to harm him if he reveals his secret. With the deal made, Hoyeon offers to share his secret first. He reveals that he's actually a girl. Sungmin is completely stunned by this revelation. Hoyeon explains that her father wanted her to follow the path of becoming the cult leader, but only men were allowed to do that. So, she had to live as a boy. Sungmin is still in disbelief about Hoyeon being a girl. After she shared her secret, she asks Sungmin for his. He asks for a moment to gather his thoughts and suggests they use different rooms from tomorrow onward. Then he finally tells her his secret. He's a regressor. But Hoyeon is too confused to understand what that means. After some much-needed explanation, Hoyeon finally grasps the fact that Sungmin died and somehow went back to the past. She then asks him why he thinks she would kill him after knowing this. He says that even though he looks 14, he feels like he's 27 inside. He asks her if she feels bad for him tricking her about his age, but she says it's okay. She tells him that she was the one who started this friendship, who wanted to teach him martial arts, and who wanted to be friends. So he didn't really trick her, he just went along with her wishes. She tells him they've been friends for 2 months, and that's what friends are to her. After hearing this, he thanks her, feeling a bit better. But then she says it's sad he's only reached this level with 2 lifetimes and decades of experience. That comment hurts him. Then she says she'll give him her internal energy, like energy in a martial artist's body. It's precious and takes a lifetime to build up. Hoyeon starts giving him some of her energy, and it hurts him. After it's done, she asks how he feels, looking tired. She leans on his shoulder. He managed to keep about half the energy she gave him. He asks if she's okay, and she says she's tired but fine. He wonders why she's doing all this for him. She says they're friends and she wants nothing in return. She did it for herself. She decides to teach him a spear technique, shocking him. It's the Supreme 9 Heavenly Spear, the same one used by the Spear King 100 years ago. She doesn't want him to die like he did in his past life. He thanks her but gets a light punch for bowing to her. That night they talk about many things, and a month passes. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out at Joyland David Rodriguez, 2734, who commented, "2-part, please make the episode 4 hours," on our auto hunting video. Thanks for commenting. They're practicing martial arts and Hoyeon wants to see how much he's learned, but he can't shake the feeling that she might leave after their next sparring session. She tells him that she will give him a 20-move head start. In a flashback, Hoyeon tells Sungmin that the method to make the Supreme 9 Heavens Spear suitable for him is called the Supreme 9 Heavens Spear Sungmin style. He asks why she had to do that, and she says that she improved it for him, so it was only right that she put his name in it. In the technique that he used, it has been combined with the soul-chasing technique's moves. He attempts to use the soul-chasing killing strike first, but Hoyeon is easily able to deflect his attack. She dodges his next attack with ease. He had used 3 moves already. Compared to the days when Sungmin didn't know anything, his spear techniques contain more parry, hold and pierce moves now. Parry spins outward and bounces off the opponent's attack. Hold is to rotate inward and press down to block one's opponent's attack. Pierce means to stab one's opponent. These are the basics of spearmanship. After learning the basics and practicing for the past month, Sungmin's skills had greatly improved. Sungmin continues his efforts to land a clean attack on her, but she continues to be unfazed by his techniques. He had advanced to the second rate with the internal energy that he had received, but she is parrying it all with her right hand alone. Attack after attack, Hoyeon blocks and parries all of them with little effort needed, but with his last move, he is able to land a hit on Hoyeon and take her by surprise. But that was his 20th attack, so Hoyeon is going on the offensive. She appears behind him and attacks. He lost, but she compliments him, saying that he did well, but Sungmin says that what she is saying is nonsense since she blocked most of his attacks with just her right hand. But she reassures him that he has developed a good sense, and even says that he was born to do martial arts. She tells him that she will look forward to 10 years from now. She tells him that their sparring was too easy, but she is satisfied with his skills, and that he has displayed as much as she's taught him, so she tells him that they will meet again in 10 years. She then asks him if he has decided on a goal in life, but he says that he still doesn't know yet. Since that is the case, Hoyeon asks Sungmin to make her his goal. As she explains, she says that humans need to have goals, and if one doesn't have a goal, their life would be nothing short of just drifting around. She tells him to become strong enough to fight her 10 years from now. He tells her that there is no way that can be done because, to him, just because he will make her his goal, doesn't mean that he can become like her. He breaks down and lashes out, tears welling up in his eyes. He pleads with her not to say anything irresponsible, and insists that he can't make it because he lacks talent. He states that becoming as strong as she is feels like an impossible feat for him. She scolds him for his deep-seated sense of inferiority, expressing her frustration. She tells him that she despises this aspect of him, how his past insecurities hold him back. Sungmin becomes increasingly angry, continuing to vent his frustration. He explains how he was summoned to Area with nothing but his bare hands, and he lived a life of insignificance, even in death. She points out that he has made remarkable progress, learning the mystic arts and becoming a second-rate warrior in just 3 months. However, he remains consumed by his inferiority complex from his previous life. Sungmin's anger intensifies with each comment Hoyeon makes, and he finally explodes, telling her to shut up. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.